So I think all of us, I think we become less ageist as we get older because the differences between 5 years for a person of 25 is very different from 55 to 60. So I think that it's not being ageist to say that some young people haven't had that life experience to understand what it is like to be older. And there is ageism that occurs in all sorts of situations like, Mum, why do you need as much money as you've got? You don't spend all that much. And I think there's a certain ageism that creeps in there. So I think it's one part of what causes elder abuse. Discrimination in the workforce is another, and I'm very concerned about older women at risk of homelessness, people who are working lower incomes with no home ownership. The moment they can't work, they'll be homeless. So this elder abuse issue is one, but it intersects with all those areas that I've taken a particular interest in. I think ageism, as I said, has some influence that people think, you really don't need this much money. It's really mine before ahead of time. You could downsize and it could help me with my house, sometimes my second family, getting established a second family. But I think they're the sorts of bits of ageism that really interact with it. But there are also other issues, sometimes family breakdown, sometimes people slide into elder abuse. They're caring for their parent, their brother's overseas, their sister lives in another state. Well, I'll just pay for my car registration because I've got mum's power of attorney. So some can be really driven by ageism, some can just be driven by being fed up with other members of the family not helping and helping themselves to a little bit of mum's money, which is not on. You're supposed to keep it separate. I think lack of education is an important thing, that when a person writes their power of attorney, there's not a lot of interaction, especially from the lawyers, about what are your rights when writing a power of attorney, but also the attorneys don't understand what their responsibility is. A power of attorney has no right to restrict an older person having visitors. It's about looking after somebody or assisting somebody to care for their resources, their money, in a way that takes into account the older person's wants and needs and involvement. You shouldn't take away somebody's autonomy. You hear the wording. I've heard two people over the last weekend talk about, I had power of attorney over my mother. And I think language is a very important thing. You have power of attorney with and for your mother. You don't have power of attorney over your mother. So I think there's a sort of a hidden sort of lack of understanding that a power of attorney is about working in cooperation with the person who's written the power of attorney, not power over somebody.